But if only I knew why I was here.
Yeah, exactly. I had this image last night that it was just going to be us and a camera and no one in the crowd. Because we had the COSAD lecture last night, and that's pretty much what it was.
Oh, no.
There were only like 15 people in Deloitte Auditorium.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Steve told me the technology was kind of a hot mess.
Well, it wasn't the start.
In front of a lot
We
of
got
people.
it sorted out, and then I just sort of started over.
Okay.
But we actually, though, the people that were online asked a lot of questions, so there was good.
Good.
He had like a half an hour of Q&A. Well, it's exam week, and therefore no faculty could require attendance or anything like that. So, hey, man. Let me go say hi to Larry. Thank you for being here, my friend. How are you?
For you. Good for you. Glad to see you.
It's good to see you. I appreciate you coming out.
Oh, yeah, you bet.
Everybody doing okay?
Yeah,
Good.
really.
Good. I'm glad to hear it.
I just spent 4 or 5 days up in Madison.
Oh, yeah? Cool. Good.
Well, it wasn't in Madison. My daughter lives in New
Garrett, do we want a close-up of them for the stream? Going up in bed?
But I'm going to hit photos of it.
Yeah.
Megan's sitting on the aisle, and she's going to get video of some of the school house of us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Okay.
ILL. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Brooke Elliott. I'm Associate Dean here in the Gies College of Business, and I'm honored to be able to kick off our special event today. Thank you all for joining us for this very special event. We're proud to have all of you here with us in person, and I know many of you are joining us via live stream as well. We're especially grateful to have our students, faculty, staff, fellow deans, Provost Andreas Chancellor and Larry Gies here to celebrate with us. Gies College of Business has been a great place for more than 100 years. The college has always been known for being a leader on delivering outstanding business education. And over the last several years, we've taken even larger steps forward and elevated our leadership in some very important areas, like providing access, supporting innovation, delivering excellence. It's no coincidence that those areas have been our strategic priorities over the last 5 years. Now we've added inclusion and engagement to that list to build out our leadership even more. Today we celebrate our accomplishments and what is yet to come. I'd like to thank Poets&Quants Editor-in-Chief John Byrne for not only being the impetus behind this event today, but also joining us in person to celebrate. For those of you who don't know, John founded and has personally spearheaded the growth of Poets&Quants into what has become today the globally recognized authority on business education. Whether you're considering an undergraduate degree or a business master's degree anywhere in the world, chances are you've researched or read about your options on Poets&Quants. It's one of the most read outlets for business school deans, administration, prospective students, and their families. As you might expect with John's position, he travels all over the world, meeting with leaders, alumni, and students from the top business schools. You'd be hard-pressed to find anyone in the world who knows more about what's happening right now in business education than John. And through it all, he has been a staunch supporter of our programs. He believes in what we are doing. He's personally passionate about our mission to break down barriers and to democratize education. It's always a pleasure to have John on campus. Please give him a warm Gies welcome. John Byrne.
Well, let me turn on my mic so you can all hear me. Wow, we've got a good crowd here, Jeff. I am very impressed by the turnout. And it's really a true pleasure for me to come and deliver positive news. You know, I meet a lot of deans, and I've been to probably every major business school in the world over the course of my years. My gray hair proves my years. And we interview deans on a regular basis. And there's no shortage of deans who have grand visions. But there is a rare dean who makes a vision become a reality. And over the years that I've gotten to know your dean, Jeff Brown, I've come to greatly respect and admire him and know that he is a doer. And I always say, you know, there is nothing more important than life than getting stuff done. I hope when you do graduate from this university, that's the one thing you take away, because so few people can consistently get things done. He has gotten a lot done at the Gies College of Business. And in looking at his record, it's kind of amazing to see what change he has brought. We commonly think about the incredible scaling of the online learning initiative at this school. You know, he became dean 6 months before the school entered its first IMBA cohort. The number of students enrolled in that program now exceed 4,300 from over 130 countries in every state in the country. But more important than the modality of delivering education, I think, is the fundamental belief that education has been too expensive and that it needs to be made more accessible and more affordable to greater numbers of people here in this country and all over the world. And with technology, Jeff has been able to do that. You know, when we will have a story up about Jeff on the site at 5 p.m. today. And in all the interviews that I did for this story, one thing really struck home for me. And it's more than taking out an insurance policy to protect against the lack of Chinese students. It's more than building an incredible video studio capability and convincing senior tenured faculty to teach in the online programs. It's more than starting a new master's in management program, which one of his daughters is currently a student in. So I say Jeff eats his own dog food. It's more than even doing interviews with reporters on his Peloton, which he has done with one of my reporters. And it's more than imagining what the future of business education can be and delivering on it. He has created here a culture of boldness and recruited incredible people and given them the space to lead and to develop as leaders. And ultimately, that has unleashed an incredible wave of innovation throughout the school. So for all of these reasons, and the fact that he's just a damn good guy, we are naming Jeff the Dean of the Year.
Let's just go up. Okay. That was really nice.
Oh my goodness. All right. It's heavy. There you go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Our
That's
pleasure.
great.
Now, Jeff is going to come back and make some remarks later on after a Q&A. But for now, I'd like to bring up one of his most avid supporters. Someone you may know. He's the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs and Provost of the university, Andreas Gangawaris, who's going to say a few words. The Provost oversees the academic enterprise of the university, and he's been instrumental in supporting a lot of the initiatives here that have required significant investment. So, and he has, of course, helped manage the university through a really difficult time, the pandemic, which has affected us all. He works very closely with the deans, and Jeff will be the first to tell you he couldn't have done what he's done without the support of the provost. So come on up. Thank you.
Good afternoon. What a celebration. Jeff, congratulations.
Thank you.
I do not know who supports whom, but I will tell you that the deans are there to support the provost in making sure that the university moves forward. And what you hear today is exactly the reason why this university always shines, no matter what is thrown at us. It's because of people like Dean Jeff Brown, and his bold thinking, and the fact, and I need to emphasize this, that he will never take no for an answer. And I want you to appreciate how important this is, especially in an academic community. The easiest answer to any question in academia is, no, I don't think so. And there's always the I don't think so because people want to leave the door open. But in Jeff's case, the answer is always, when you tell him, no, I don't think so, he says, okay, let's discuss it a little bit more to explain to you why yes is the only answer that matters at the end of the day. And I have been there, and I have to tell you that I'm not alone. Our Council of Deans, as we get together, has become very accustomed now to have Jeff there challenge everything that we have been doing over the past 150 years. Everything we have been doing, why not considering something else, doing something differently? And the truth of the matter is, in this 21st century, change is the name of the game. It is through change that the world advances, and what he's doing is consistent with what I think all of us, as members of this amazing university, are committed to. Inclusive excellence at scale. That's what we are. We are not a small Ivy League institution. What we do is better than Ivy League institutions, whatever they will try to do, because what we do is inclusive excellence at scale. And scale matters today. Scale matters today because if we're serious about making sure that everyone benefits from the things that universities like the University of Urbana-Champaign has to offer, we need to be reaching out. We need to be making sure that the things we can bring to bear are accessible, affordable, engage everyone who is willing and interested in engaging with us in this commitment to excellence at scale. Jeff, congratulations. Keep doing what you're doing. And I know the future is going to be very bright for the University of Illinois, for the Gies College of Business, but also for all colleges of business in the world. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Provost. Now I'd like to bring on someone that many of you may already know. He's the namesake of the college. He is an alum with a bachelor's degree in accounting. 4 years ago, he and his wife, Beth, pledged $150 million to the college. And let me put that in perspective. There are precious few business schools in the world that have ever received a gift of that size. It is the largest gift ever given to the university here. So it's incredibly generous. And that gift was made to help support the mission of being the most innovative business school on the planet and delivering life-changing access to business education. Larry is the founder of Madison Industries, Chicago-based company, which is on a mission to make the world safer, healthier, and more productive. He has a personal passion for breaking down barriers and creating access to education. Like Jeff, he believes in the democratization of education. He serves as the president of the Gies Foundation, which focuses on exactly that. And he's also been instrumental in establishing the Gies campus of Chicago Jesuit Academy, which is a full scholarship school for 3rd to 8th grade boys on Chicago's west side. Join me in welcoming your namesake.
ILL.
I know.
Well, you all know by now, this is not my name behind me or on your shirts or anywhere around our college. This is your name. You're defining it, and you guys are making it the greatest business school on earth. So my hands to you for what you've done. And how about that? Dean of the Year, Jeff Brown. Woo! we're so lucky to know our dean, and that sounds kind of odd, but raise your hand if you know the dean. Raise your hand. And you're seeing everyone raise their hand. Students, look at this. Everybody knows Dean Jeff Brown. That is rare. That is absolutely rare in academia. And there's no place he'd rather be than with the students, faculty, staff, administration, and everybody on this campus. There's one place he doesn't want to be, right here getting an award. He's as humble as can be, but he's our Dean of the Year. And he is our dean and our fearless leader. And I thought I'd start out with a few fun facts about the dean that you may or may not know. I heard a few of them already mentioned. Who'd like to hear some fun facts about the dean? Jeff? No? So Jeff was an Eagle Scout. How cool is that? Jeff was an Eagle Scout. Jeff also, when he worked at Procter & Gamble, he was on the Folgers coffee account, but he didn't drink coffee, which I always thought was kind of interesting. How you pulled that off, getting the team all pumped up when you didn't drink coffee. He's hiked 32 of the 63 national parks in our country, which is kind of cool. Is 32 the accurate number still, Jeff?
It's up now, 34.
34. My information's old. Who knows, what instrument do you think Jeff plays? See? This is a dean we know. He plays the guitar. He loves rock and roll. This is really unique. He lives and breathes what we're building here. It's a really beautiful thing. Over 1,000 Peloton rides during the pandemic. So when you saw Jeff at the start of this semester, and he looked a lot skinnier, the Peloton. It works. And I'll get back to that story. I'm not done with that story yet. But the most beautiful fun fact about Dean Jeff Brown is what's happened since 2015. And we've all seen it. The excitement and energy that's building at our college is because of his leadership. It takes all of us, and literally everyone in this room, to make this happen, but he's our leader. He's making it happen each and every day. John and the Provost mentioned some really key points, as did Brooke, about the dean, and this is what attracted me to be on his mission. What attracted me is when Rob Metzger first introduced me to him, Dean Brown said, I want to democratize education. And I said, Dean Brown, what does that mean? He says, I want to provide access to everyone. I want to level the playing field. I want to give everybody a shot. Because that not only changes the trajectory of that student's life, it changes the trajectory of their family forever. What a beautiful thing. That's what he stands for. And that's why I wanted to be a part of it, and that's why we're all here today to celebrate it. It is a beautiful thing. And as I've gotten involved with what Jeff is doing, as I've continually supported what Jeff is doing, I've seen the innovation. I've seen students talk about their why, their purpose, why they get up in the morning, how they connect the dots between what they're studying and what they hope to be a higher purpose in life. You don't hear that anywhere else. A little earlier, I was sitting up with a bunch of students, and Lily, who's a student here at the Gies College of Business, told me how they talk about their why before they start a project, about how they talk about their purpose and what they want to do in life, something that really adds value to the world, that has impact. That's why we're all here, right? We're humans. We want to have impact on the world, and we're talking about it. It seems really natural to us because that's what you and your whole team here have done, is talking about our purpose, why we want to be able to have an impact on the world. Who talks about that at a business school? We do, because of you. Because of you. So I know that a few people talked about the insurance policy that was taken out, and I still think that was brilliant. I know you're a world-class economist, but who takes an insurance policy out that protects us during COVID, a COVID pandemic? And we joke about it, but this is the type of thinking that goes behind the scenes, because if you protect yourself for those risks, we can keep the access to the education available because we keep our costs down. Because it is about access. It is about giving people that opportunity to get a great education. And that's what that small thought did. But to me, I'm like, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And the online MBA, are you kidding me? Almost 5,000 students around the world in over, I think John said 130 countries. I was going to say over 100. John has the right number. This is typical. He's spot on with this. But think about it. 5,000 students around the world, that's impact. It wasn't about how do we make more money? How do I get my name up there? How do I do this? Jeff wants to make impact. We want to be a part of that, and that's why we're following in this beautiful mission that will long outlast you. Your grandkids are going to talk about this. It's really beautiful. He is the ultimate servant leader. You know, we hear that term all the time, but this is real. Look at all the people who show up for this stuff, right? I would say you have smiles on your face. I can't tell because we're still masked up. You know, funny story, in March of 2020, my wife asked, should we still get a prom dress for Lauren? I said, when's prom? She said, May 9th. And I said, of course, we'll be out of this by May 9th of 2020. That's why I'm not a dean of a business school. One of the many reasons. But there's happy faces here. If you see people working together, you see the administration, you see the students are working with administration, you see students communicating with faculty, they like it here. Who likes it here? Who likes it here? It's a wonderful place. And that's the culture that's being built here. And that's because of the servant leadership and the team that's been built. It's unbelievable. I remember when Jeff had a bike accident. I don't know if that's public. It is now. Jeff had a horrible bike accident. It was scary. And I was talking to him one day, and I was even embarrassed to be talking to him because he should be resting. He's like, yeah, tomorrow I'm welcoming the new freshman. I said, Jeff, you can't welcome the new freshman. He goes, well, I have to welcome the new freshman. I'm like, Jeff, you need to rest. He's like, they want to hear from me. They need to hear from me. That's servant leadership. And then when I congratulated him for this award, I said, Jeff, Dean of the Year, that's awesome. I mean, think about it, not just Dean of the Year of Illinois or the Midwest, Dean of the Year. And this guy here is the guru at this stuff, right? I mean, he is the guru, and he's like Dean of the Year. Like when I chat with John, I'm like nervous because I'm like, oh gosh, he's the guru at this. He's really amazing. But he said, I said, congratulations, Jeff. Jeff said, don't congratulate me. Congratulate the faculty, the staff, the administration. It's the best in the world. Congratulate this wonderful university, the people that put this stage up, the people that put the lights up, right? The institutional leadership at the University of Illinois. Congratulate them because without them this doesn't happen. And congratulate those students because they are finding their purpose. They're trying to define their why before anybody their age is doing that. They are the reason why that award is coming to the Gies College of Business. That's servant leadership. I must thank Lisa, your wife of 31 years, your beautiful children, you know, Maddie, Sophie, Andy, for sharing Jeff with us. I mean, you've shared Jeff with us, right? I mean, you know how hard he works. So a big thank you to each and every one of you, because without you and your support for him, he wouldn't be sitting here right now. So Dean Brown, I think I was told 2 minutes, which people know that means I'll go 7, and I'm probably at 7. But I want to say thank you for making all of our lives better. Thank you for giving us a shot at having an impact on all of our students, on all of our faculty, on a community, on a nation, on a world. Thank you for showing us how to have impact. Thank you for what you do. Congratulations, and we love you.
Thank you. Very well said. Very well said. And let me just say as an aside that there are obviously a lot of business schools named after people, but I've never met a namesake who is as passionate, as committed, as energized about a school and its mission and its leadership than Larry has been to this school. So now let's hear from Dean Brown.
Thanks, John.
So are you blushing?
I'm sweating.
I know you're not keen on all this, but...
Yeah, well, a lot of you know Jan Slater, our Chief Marketing Officer, and when she told me we were going to do this, I said, well, don't make a big deal out of it. And she, of course, didn't listen. But I do just want to take a minute at the very start, first of all, to thank you, John, and Poets&Quants. I mean, it really is an honor. And I do want to thank Larry, who, man, I could never ask for a better namesake for this college and a better supporter than I have in you. Just truly amazing, and your connection with the students means so much to all of us, so thank you. Andreas, I'm incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity to work under your leadership, and I'm grateful every day for that. But above all, and obviously I want to thank my family and all of them, especially my kids who are here with me today and my wife, Lisa. But what I really want to do is thank everybody that's here. As what Larry said about my reaction to him is how I feel. I don't view this as being an award for Jeff Brown. I view this as being an award for the Gies College of Business, because we are doing exceptional and remarkable things together, but we're doing it together. And you know, when I became dean, we already had 100 years of excellence to build upon. And literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that had come before us, faculty and staff and students and alumni, and that continues on today. So it's really the excellence of this whole college that I prefer to think of as what's being recognized today. So thank you all for being part of it. So, what do you want to talk about?
So, you know, when I look at your CV, your resume, there's no indication that you ever would have been a dean of a business school. Like at one point, I think your resume would indicate that you wanted to be a public policy wonk. At another point, maybe you wanted to be a brand management expert. You became a finance professor, but even then, you didn't really hold any associate deanships or any big administrative roles in the school. And then suddenly, you raise your hand and you beat out other people and get the deanship. How did that happen?
I don't know. I mean, this is probably the reason that whenever undergraduates or really anybody asks me for career advice, I always tell them you don't have to have it all figured out. That most of the people that I know that are really successful in life didn't know exactly what path they were going to follow. But if they, you know, to use Larry's term and one that this college has embraced, if you really think about what your purpose is, it will guide you in some really interesting ways. And I've always been about, I mean, I guess it goes back to being a Boy Scout when, you know, you're supposed to help others at all times. And I've always viewed my role as one where I'm trying to create opportunities for others. So Larry DeBrock, my predecessor here, when he announced, I think it was back in 2014 that he was going to step down, you know, I just thought about it and I realized we have some amazing resources here in terms of the people and the expertise and the faculty. And it was a very tricky time in higher education. There's a lot going on. We were only a few years after the financial crisis. And I just had some ideas and thought, you know, we could really raise the aspirations of this college. And so I put those ideas forward with the understanding that I might not get the job, but at least I could get my ideas out there. Now that lasted until the interview started, then the competitive part of me kicked in, and I really wanted the job. And I was very fortunate that, that among a very qualified pool that, you know, they chose me to lead the college. It's been really the greatest professional honor in my life.
And having spoken to several members of that selection committee, one thing that stands out to me is how impressed they were with your vision for what the college could become. And what surprises me about that is, you know, it's generally said that if you practice a role first, and then you get the role, you can be more effective in it. But there was nothing for you to practice in. So your thoughts about what you wanted this job to be and what you wanted to accomplish were even more impressive given the fact that you didn't hold a major administrative position before.
Well, but I think that's the fortunate part in this job is we have amazing people here at all levels, faculty and staff and alumni. And, you know, to be honest, I think I'd be hard-pressed to say that much of the innovation that we've had came out of my head. it comes from creating an environment where people around you feel free to bring their ideas forward and know they're going to get a fair hearing and be supported. Joe White, who was our former president here and was the dean for a decade at Michigan Ross, he has a book on leadership. He has multiple books, but one of them he talks about the presumption of yes, that when people come to you with good ideas, and as long as they're well thought out and there's a plan in place for analyzing them and so forth, that's a great way to promote innovation, and that's what we've done. And I got a kick out of Andreas's comments that that's not how universities typically operate, and I could attest to that fact. But I think just unleashing the power of creativity and the passion and the ideas of the folks that work here is really the trick to it all.
What have you learned as dean over these years that would be important to young people?
So much. For me, I get up every day, literally, and think about that I'm grateful to have the opportunity to have an impact on people's lives. And there's a lot that we do here that's really special and important, the research enterprise and the impact that it makes. But the most tangible, visible thing are the lives that we're impacting through teaching, whether it's our undergrad program, our graduate programs, or online programs. And for me, that's a passion. That's just something my parents were both educators. They were high school teachers. I've always cared deeply about education. I've understood the impact it can have, as was stated earlier, not just on the student who's being educated, but on the whole trajectory of their family and their children and so forth. And that's really powerful. So to me, it's about finding that intersection of something that you're good at, you're passionate about, and makes a difference in the world. And if you can find something that is in that intersection, that's when magic can happen. And I've been really fortunate to find that.
Now, I think the most challenging decision you had to make was closing down programs to divert the resources that was going to them for the online learning initiative and to reinvest in the undergraduate business program.
Right.
And that decision was tough because people get very invested in programs, faculty, students, and alumni, and it takes a lot of communication and a lot of work to make a smooth transition out of that and not suffer a backlash, which some deans have seen that they've actually lost their jobs over decisions like this. When you were going through that period, did you have like a guiding framework to help these difficult decisions of closing the executive MBA program, the full-time and part-time MBA programs, the master's in taxation?
So, I really believed, especially since this is a business school, that if we had a really well-articulated set of rationale and not just financial, but strategic and mission-oriented reasons for the decisions, that people would eventually come to understand and respect, if not agree with the position. And, to this day, not everybody agrees with each of those decisions, and that's to be expected. We knew it was going to be difficult, not just because we'd seen what had happened at other schools, but because I would have been disappointed had people not been upset, because that would have meant the programs meant nothing to them, right? We want our programs to be meaningful to the students in them and the faculty in them. And so when you bring something to an end that someone found meaningful and was a difference maker in their life, like, you kind of want them to be a little bit upset, right? And that happened, and we just tried to manage it the best we could by being very transparent, being very open with the students, meeting with anyone who wanted to meet. Perhaps one mistake that I made after we announced the closure of the full-time MBA program is I told the team that every positive email we got about it, somebody else could respond to, but I wanted to personally respond to every negative email. And that seemed like the principled thing to do, but boy, it was depressing. But I felt that if people felt enough to write and express their displeasure with the decision, I felt it was important for me to engage with them and understand. And it didn't turn around everybody's mind right away, but I think most people have come to respect the wisdom of the decision.
Yeah, and I think it was an incredibly courageous decision, because it's so easy for someone in leadership to say, okay, I don't want to go through that trouble.
Yeah.
And then nothing happens.
But that's not what leadership really is.
That's
right?
really true. Exactly.
You can't just make decisions arbitrarily, but when you make decisions after a good process and you really believe it's important for the long-term health of the organization and consistent with your mission and your purpose, then you make the decision and you do your best to manage any backlash that comes with it. But you can't be afraid of that. Otherwise, you would never do anything.
No, and it really set the stage for the explosive growth of the online initiative.
Sure.
And really the fastest growing MBA in the planet, period.
Yeah.
So when you look ahead at the next few years, what's in store for the college?
The easiest way I can say it is continued innovation. I don't want to be overly specific about things that we haven't made final decisions on, but what I can tell you is I think we're at a really pivotal time in business education and education more generally. I think this notion that we've had for 800 years, 400 in this country and 800 if you look back at Europe, where the primary and only product that educational institutions offered was a degree, is a little bit of an outdated notion now. The pace of change is accelerating very quickly, and this idea that you can go to school for a few years and then enter the workforce and treat them as sequential, separate things, I think that's an outdated notion. I think we need to move to a world where people are going to be moving in and out of education, formal education, as well as work experience throughout their whole lives, just because of how quickly the world is changing around us. So as we think about lifelong education, as we think about workforce upskilling, as we think about providing our students opportunities to come back and learn new things 5 or 10 years down the road when whole new fields have emerged that weren't covered in their classes, we've got some really interesting ideas of what to do in that space, and that's certainly one area that we'll be focused on going forward.
And that's delivering education as it is needed by people on their terms, meaning while they're continuing to work and live their lives.
Exactly, and make it affordable.
Right.
In terms of the price, as well as they don't have to, if they want to come to campus, great, we welcome you, but we want to bring it to you wherever you are. And technology enables that. That wasn't possible 20 years ago. It's making geography largely irrelevant. It's making national borders largely irrelevant. So I like to think of us as positioning ourselves to deliver educational value to the entire world. And I think it's possible to do. And I think this university, because of the forward-looking leadership we have with the president, the chancellor, our provost, and others, I think we're really well positioned to do that and to help, I think, turn around some of this more negative narrative about higher ed that has been emerging over the last couple of decades because of rising costs and the view that it's increasingly inaccessible to regular families. I think we're in a position to really change that.
And Dean Brown, I don't think there's a better person to do that than you.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, what a pleasure it's been. Thank you for joining us on this incredible occasion. I want to thank Jeff more than anyone for getting it done and for imagining a very different future for people all over the world, frankly, not only here in Illinois. And reimagining education and putting the money behind the talk, because that's what makes it happen.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all of you, and I'll just say, go Gies.
All righty. I think there are refreshments in the back, are there not?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, and we have Brooke coming back. And don't you love Brooke's jacket?
Yeah.
And really, she's rocking those Jordans. I'll put that out there.
I'm not mic'd up, so I will just yell at you. So I just want to give a huge thank you to John for joining us today, for Provost Chancellor, and also for Larry for joining us today. So just a huge round of applause. I'd also like to thank Jeff for being such an outstanding, bold, and innovative leader, and I'm so proud that he's our leader. So one last round of applause for the 2021 Poets and Quants Dean of the Year.
Thank you.
And lastly, I would just like to join Jeff in thanking everyone for being part of the celebration today, but more importantly, for our recognition as a college for this outstanding award. And I welcome you to join us for refreshments and continued celebration. Thank you.